Woo! After a fiery weekend with Mr. Barry Ribs, another live show. This one going a little bit different. A lot of fun. We got along this time. Can you believe it? Chrissy Mayer dropped some news, said that she doesn't remember Flutzy ever talking about coming up with the wet spot idea first. We'll get into it. Brian McCarthy news is dropping, but we're joined today by Mr. Bob Biggerstaff from GHOLE Podcast. How's it going?
I'm doing all right. How you doing, man?
Not bad. It's a little warm today. I was trying to hurry up and get everything set up, and I just bought this other mic stand, and I've already broken it. And this mic stand here, I had to redo the threads after the third time using it. You'd think, this music equipment shit is so expensive to buy that they could make good threads. You know what I mean? Like, I can't stop breaking mic stands. I have like 6 mic stands now because I can't get one that'll just fucking work, It's a pain in the ass.
Is that an actual mic stand? Or
Yeah,
is it like one of those podcast things?
Well, yeah, it's an actual mic stand because it has the weight. I mean, it's made for like table talk, but then I had this one that came out and shit. Well, the little nuts right here, they're not even metal. They're plastic. So you go too hard, you got to be a real weakling. Otherwise, you're going to break it. You know what I mean? It's just, it's fucking pissing me off. I can't, keep the studio set up. I need to hire somebody.
And that's the kind of thing everybody's that's like the classic podcast type of mic.
Right.
Is the one that you broke.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just got to run a real bolt through it. You'd think, paying that kind of money, they would make it sturdy, but they don't. It's a mess. Anyways.
Well, at least you got another one.
Yeah. And I got 4 more that I broke. I just got parts of mic stands laying around. I just started this shit. It's crazy, man. So we had
all I have is my nerd headset.
I love it. It's the first, when we were talking in the chat before, I said, dude, I love the headphones. What are they? Are you an aviator?
Well, it works. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. I thought it was just going to be weird in front of, like, for podcasts and stuff. Usually we just use when Ray and I do a Zoom on our GHOLE podcast, we have regular microphones when we're in person.
Yeah.
But when we first started doing the Zoom with the quarantine, we were just using, like, I'd use my iPad and he'd use his computer. We're just using the mics there. But eventually you're like, well, we need to use microphones because it'll sound better.
Yeah, it definitely does. It'll be
even though there's so many people. I mean, the whole thing has changed. I mean, I keep telling people, like, Howard Stern is doing his show on Zoom.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, that's what you hear when you listen. You hear it on Zoom, and of course, it doesn't sound. Even though this is digital, whatever, the sound isn't as good as if, like, I was in your studio and we were doing this.
It's not, because I do believe, like, over time, talking across digital, the reaction time is slower. So if we were in person, you would be able to communicate, like, via body language with a joke a little bit faster. So it kind of flows better, you know what I mean? Than like looking at a screen.
Sure, definitely. I mean, I think that's gotten better, and I'm sure eventually it'll be pretty darn close to being as good as it is when you're just sitting with somebody, connected into the same board.
See, I don't know, like, if you're trying to get a big name on your podcast anymore, if they're really going to even want to leave the house now that they know that there's options out there and everybody's using it. It's like, fuck, why do I got to go down to the comic strip?
Yeah.
I just do it from my kitchen. I got burritos in the microwave,
I don't know if you know Sam Morrill.
Yeah.
Funny comedian. Yeah. He put out a special on YouTube a few months ago. It's got like over 1 million views. Yeah, great guy. He tweeted one time. He was like, "So wait a minute, you're telling me all this time I could have just done your podcast by Zoom?" Or was like, "You're telling me all this time I didn't have to go to your apartment to do your podcast?"
Right. Well, it's like me. I'm down here in this small town and shit, and I'm like, man, I just wish I could go up there and just have a chance to chop it up with the guys. And I was like, man, I'll just launch one, see what happens. And here I am, talking to Bob Biggerstaff. It's great.
There you go. I mean, you've only been doing this, like, did you even start before the quarantine?
No. No. I mean, I didn't even know Zoom was a thing until the first one I did,
Yeah. So, I mean, did you even do this podcast before?
No.
Yeah.
I was working half days, so I had all this extra time.
Before the quarantine, I mean, that was a thing where, like, I remember I would say to people, I would even tell Ray when, like, we couldn't get a guest, and I'd be like, well, let's just, like, FaceTime them or, because we can record. And I remember because I figured out how you could record. I could record the screen on my computer. I'm like, we can record it with QuickTime. We just do a FaceTime and we can have the video. And it was and not that Ray was wrong for saying it, but he was like, nah, just
right.
If we can't get them live and
every
at
show
my apartment or we can't come to them.
I mean, even listening to like Kumia's show and stuff, when he would take phone guests, it never felt the same as, you know, them being in the studio. But I think when everybody's remotely doing it, it kind of it overturns that fact. It's not like you got two guys in a studio and one not, you know, so that barrier kind of gets skipped, I think. I don't know. But
Yeah, but
you
it's
know,
definitely going to change, you know, when all this is
yeah,
over or as close to over it ever comes to. I mean, yeah, there's definitely, I mean, if somebody says, I can't do your podcast and they never do it, well, you know, they don't fucking like you.
yeah, they don't want to. Yeah, you're lucky.
There's really
You're lucky you got
no
a text back.
excuse.
Right. It's astounding to me. I could be down here and I can have Barry Ribs on my podcast while he's standing outside a pizzeria, you know, getting some Wi-Fi. It's beautiful. People are loving it, man. It's really getting a toll out there.
Or just me while I'm sitting on my ass at my apartment.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't even know where you're at. You know, you ought to just paint the wall behind you green. Then you could just, you know, you can pretend like
I
you're
have
in
a
McDonald's.
green screen that's usually up, but I had to take it down because I wanted to use the wall as a projector screen.
Yeah, well, mine are barely hanging up right now. I just put them back up because I repainted my walls in the apartment over the weekend, and that's why I was like, you know, kind of in a hurry to get them back up, and they fell a few times, so they could fall. Like any slight movement behind me,
You
they're
should
gonna
have
fall.
painted the walls chroma key green.
Well, I would, but I'm not much sure how long I'll be in this apartment. You know, I was originally going to get paint until I realized green screens are actually kind of cheap. You know, fuck, people could have been doing this stuff.
Oh
a
yeah,
long time ago.
I just got to. The funny thing is, most of them, if you look online, because I bought one and I don't know what material it's made out of. It's definitely not like a cotton sheet.
Yeah,
but it's like kind of plasticky. But it's a great green screen, but it has a lot of wrinkles in it.
right.
And I can't really. I tried to steam it. I tried to iron it. I mean, it's not bad, but it's got wrinkles in it. So I was looking up to get one, and all these green screens are like, I mean, unless you're buying like $100 one. I mean, mine was $12.
Yeah.
To be like 6x10, and they're all they all come from China.
Yeah, I mean, I got two of them. They call it a muslin. I paid $30 a piece, and I think they're 5 by whatever. But mine are wrinkly as hell, and I can't ever tell from the video because I think of the way that they can wave. They're not a plastic.
No, I mean, looking at what you got going on behind you now. No, you can't tell.
I mean, they're barely hanging up. I just put I put a block of wood through them, and they're hanging on 2 bolts that could fall out of the drywall. I mean, I was kind of in a hurry, you know.
Nice.
Got some patching to do. What are you gonna do?
Exactly.
But, yeah, a lot of fun. I know.
Well, it's cool. I mean, you got the green screen. You got the Silk City hot sauce.
Yeah,
there.
I love this stuff, man. I've already ran through the taco flavor. Gone. I just received it Friday. The whole bottle gone. Now the habanero, I was really happy with this because a lot of people don't know. You know, you're from Texas. We all like hot sauce down here. You know, I mean,
yeah, I don't like habanero. It's too hot.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, see,
I don't like really hot sauce.
A lot of people will make a habanero sauce and they think that's what it is. They just throw a whole bunch of fucking peppers in there. But if you derive the habanero correctly, you can get the full flavor from it. And that's what Silk City did. There's only two or three other hot sauce companies that I've found that can actually derive the flavor from the pepper instead of just throwing the seeds in there and being like, all right, let's crank it up. Because it's not even hot. I mean, of course, to me, now, if somebody was inexperienced, they'd burn their ass off. But, you know, I haven't even tried the killer hot yet. I wonder how that is.
No, I haven't tried that either.
Well,
I've been eating the smoking and the mango madness.
Mango madness. Yeah, I don't know if I have the smoking. I got maple dragon and I got Buzz.
Yeah, I just got some of that too.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah,
Silk City hot sauce.
Yeah, I was supposed to ship him some peppers Wednesday, but got a little busy with the whole Barry Ribs thing. So hopefully this week, if you're listening, Silk City, I'll get those peppers out to you. And we're going to make a little blend ourselves. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, wow.
Be on the lookout. There could be some SMC involvement, okay? That's all I got to say. Big secrets to be announced. All right. So I had Ray DeVito on last week. You guys do the GHOLE podcast.
Oh, he's worthless.
You think so?
No, he's a good guy.
He's out there busy getting tickets on a bicycle?
I don't actually remember how I met Ray. I mean, I met him at a show, just being – you know, comics in whatever city, you run into people. Yeah. And I just ran into Ray at the, I think somebody introduced me to him, and he does a show at this place called the Creek and Cave.
Uh-huh.
And he just asked me to do the show, and then did some show with him. And then like a week later, he just asked me if I wanted to do a podcast with him. And we both kind of have the same interests, and that we're comedians. We both like sports. So
Which
yeah,
helps the flow for
Ray's a good
sure.
guy.
Yeah, no, I
And the
remember.
fact that he only lives a 10-minute walk away from me, because in New York City,
Yeah, that could be a
uh,
nightmare trying to get around.
well, yeah, if he was, uh, honestly, I mean, if I had to take I mean, now of course it's changed because theoretically we can just keep doing this by
Right.
Zoom,
Right.
but taking the subway or, even the bus, if I had to, take the subway or the bus to do the podcast with him, I mean, we've been doing it for like over a year. I probably
Yeah.
wouldn't still be doing it with him.
Yeah, it can be a real
Even though
headache.
I
I
would
remember
have probably quit way before Zoom came in, because I know how much of a lazy fat ass I am.
you
And
guys
I'm
have good
like,
numbers though,
it's okay.
deriving
It's
from, I remember Kevin was clowning you guys at the name. I never understood that what it stood for until recently. I mean, I listened to the show, but I'd
well,
never
you've
looked
seen
at
the
the cover
logo,
art.
right?
Yeah, I never looked at the cover art. Like I always just press play on the shows when I'm on my way to work, and I
Sure.
finally looked at it and I was like, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, I'll send you. We got a bunch of stickers.
Oh, cool.
I'll send you some stickers. You can.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be getting my stickers in the mail sometime. I don't know how good they're gonna be. I can't find a fucking company that's worth a shit.
I
Woo!
mean, you know what? Just we had a simple square logo, and I mean, ask me later. I'll tell you. I just got them from a place called Print Place.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my neighbor
It's
actually, he's the one who
just a
designed my logo.
regular square logo.
Yeah. I mean, that's perfect. You can go around, slap it on poles, slap it on stripper poles. You never know who's going to be listening to the podcast. Looks great.
Exactly.
A lot of
So
fun.
hey, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Ray's a good guy. I like doing the podcast with him. We get in a lot of arguments. There's been some times. There was one time right before we started, I like walked off the show because I was just pissed that somebody was
Really?
late.
I don't think I've seen you mad before on Kevin's podcast. You weren't really angry that time you were sitting on the
Nah,
couch.
I don't get. I don't. None of that stuff. Even like all the guys that follow us on Twitter
Yeah,
and
brutal.
they make fun of me, but also they'll put something and I'll be like, God damn it, or
I know
you son of a bitch.
That's what makes me laugh, because earlier they posted that tennis picture and you were like, God damn it. And that's a funny response to say to that. You're like, oh, they got me.
I don't mind the picture. It was the fact that somebody put Lindsay Davenport Wimbledon champion 1999.
Yeah, I know that. I was like, that looks. I meant to ask you about that. I think I actually said it at one point.
I don't mind. All those guys are funny, and
Most of
like
them.
the whole
there's
thing.
a few ruthless ones, but
but like you had said, how we're going to talk about Brian McCarthy. We can say about how like all those guys give Brian a lot of shit for all the stuff he does, and legitimately, all Brian, if he could have had none of this stuff coming his way, all this bad stuff. If at one point at the beginning, he was just like, hey guys, all right, I'm not doing the podcast with Cat. Like he just keeps
kept staggering,
fanning, and like if shit was really bothering me, like these guys were saying about me, I mean, I'm not gonna let it get to that point. Or whether it bothers me or not is fine.
Well, it's just like the
what
whole
am I gonna be like?
Meltdown.
Fuck you, ski mask.
Right?
You're gonna fucking call me fat? Fuck you, you jerk.
So like he just started having an internal meltdown where, I mean, I think somebody counted like he had tweeted 99 times. Replying to people in one day. Of course the trolls are going to hop on that and immediately say some shit, because it was no longer funny or trying to be funny.
How many guys send me messages and they're like, I mean, they don't anymore because they already did, but they'd be like, when they didn't know, none of these guys really know me. I met a few of them Brennan did a live podcast at the stand one time, and I was there for that, and I met a bunch of guys, and all these guys are coming up to me and they're like, hey man, we like you. We're just joking when we say all that stuff on Twitter. And I'm like, yeah. I go, I'm a comedian. I go, none of you.
Twitter is.
If you're really like, I won't even say getting. I mean, if you're getting like really personal.
Yeah.
And I don't know, saying something, but I would hope something I didn't want anybody to know wouldn't be out there anyway.
Yeah, but and some of the guys are a little ridiculous because like I can kind of tell which ones are can or naturally can be funny and which ones can't. Like some guy sent me 5 pages,
and it's hard to tell sarcasm on the in print. I get that.
Yeah, and so some guy wrote me 5 pages on why Chad Zumach's a hack. I didn't open it up for a week. 5 pages. Like I woke up that morning and it was like so and so sent 5 pages. I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, listen, I mean, it's just fun and games on the podcast. Don't take it that seriously, all right? So I got the username saved just in case, Chad, just in case.
Yeah, I mean, well, and look at Chad. Everybody, at one point, you know, everybody liked him. Then at one point, I think everybody hated him, and now they're
Yeah,
back
now
to
he's
liking
getting.
him.
Yeah, now he's gaining the MLC. Well, he did give a good shout out to the MLC fans.
I mean, you know,
Kevin's podcast.
I know what Chad's doing. I mean, you
Yeah,
know, he's just a
of
comic. He's
course.
trying to create some buzz,
Controversy,
if you
anything
will.
else, man.
If he's getting people to pay for his Patreon, you know,
Right.
he's winning.
Yeah, because
Kevin, the same thing. I mean, Kevin says one time on his podcast how stupid his fans were that they paid him money where he just had like one episode on. He would just put out one episode on Patreon a week, and nobody canceled because he called him stupid.
Yeah, I mean, they know. I mean, he called my show stupid, and I laughed my ass off because I knew why he was saying it. It's fucking funny. I mean, it's true. I'm wearing this, you know, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I told you before, Ray and I are gonna do a comedy show on Thursday night on our Instagram page, and I actually sent Kevin a text yesterday asking him if he wanted to do it, knowing that he hates and he hasn't done any of these like Zoom shows or anything.
Right.
And I was like, I go, dude, even if you just come on and go, why the fuck are you guys doing this? This is stupid. And then you hang up.
That's funny because that's so Kevin, you know?
I'm like, that would be hilarious if you just came on, even if you just called me fat for anywhere from 5 seconds to a minute.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can tell jokes or you can just come up. It'd be like, what the hell am I doing on here? And then
what
just
am I
hang
doing? Is he like, he's just laying in his bed with
kids.
his big pillow? My kids are yelling. I can't get serious. I can't think of the jokes.
Yeah, he doesn't even use his computer or an iPad.
I know.
He sits there with his phone.
I know. It's great. I thought I went through so much when I did his show. I was like trying to hurry up and set up my mic and shit, you know, make it perfect. And I go live and he's just chilling with headphones. I'm like, motherfucker. But at least my mic sounded good, you know.
When you had him on his show or
on
your show?
I went on his podcast, and
okay.
It was really before. It was before I did any actual Zoom. That was my first Zoom thing I did. Was going on his show, and so I was like hurrying up, trying to make my camera perfect, my mic and everything, like just thinking it's gonna be studio and all this, you know. Cause I didn't know.
And he was just recording it on his phone?
Yeah, him and Chad are just chilling, like on the phones, Apple headphones. I'm like, all right, you know, I didn't have to freak out, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, you literally, as we could have for a while, we can do this anywhere now.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. And just sit here in my hometown, you know.
And I think it's better with video too. A lot of people, I mean, our podcast, it comes with a free, with the podcast hosting, it comes with a free YouTube page.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's pretty nice. See, I launched the YouTube page before I did the podcast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could have made you know, it's not like it costs anything to be on YouTube, but now I guess it's just all connected to the podcast. So Ray has that many less buttons to press.
Yeah. Actually, that sounds like a damn good idea. You may have to text me what host that is. Because that's a pain in the ass when I do those live shows. That's another reason it's a pain, because then I have to figure out how to derive the fucking audio from it. And YouTube's like, no, we own it. I'm not giving you your audio. And I'm like, well, come on, man, please. You know?
Well, it's a Zoom. I should say, you know, it's a once he you know, he records the Zoom, then I guess that goes on your computer, and then he takes that and uploads it to YouTube.
Yeah. See, I think on the live shows, I don't know if you can also record. Maybe you can. I didn't do it because, like I said, it's a pain to do. I need to hire somebody to do that.
Yeah, there probably is. I mean, I don't know what kind of computer you use. You have a Mac?
Yeah, a 10-year-old Mac.
Probably just do QuickTime.
I could try, but I mean, this thing is like you got to be real careful launching these programs. This thing's 10 years old, and it won't take any new operating systems. I mean, it's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true. I just got a new computer
Lucky, man.
last year.
I want to get a new one, but like I was trying to use it on my Linux system, and I told my boss, I was like, hey man, do you know of anybody who may have an Apple Mac? He's like, yeah, I've got one that's been sitting around for a while. And I was like, real? You know, so
yeah,
it's easier with the Mac. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't either, man. I'm not a computer guy at all.
I'm sure everybody's loving this. Or they will. Yeah, Jesus, I got 5 minutes of Bob talking about hot sauce and computers. I mean, the hot sauce part was cool.
Bob's, but I'm going to order some Silk City, but computers, really? What the fuck, Bob? Now you sound like a nerd.
I don't know anything. But don't let the headset fool you. I don't know shit about computers.
Yeah, the problem is he's not flying planes either. It's just a new headset. It's good deal on Amazon there, okay? I know you said, so do you know Brian McCarthy real well? Or just a little bit from being on? Hell yeah. Yeah, see, he's flying. Look at that. Star Wars, a new one coming out.
Pew, pew, pew. You know what? I didn't know anything about Brian. I probably knew him a little bit. I mean, as far as know him, ever meet him, not until I moved to New York and did Kevin's podcast.
Gotcha.
That was the only time. And I never, even after the shows, I never hung out with him.
Yeah.
I mean, I met Kevin just as a comic. He had come to, I think I worked with him in Houston when I was there. And
what
then
club?
It was the Laugh Stop, which
Okay.
was, great club in Houston, closed like 10 years ago. But he,
way before me.
and then I worked with him in Austin.
So City?
It was, yeah. And then after that, just like, he came to Houston once or twice, but I would see him when I visited, whenever I visited New York. I mean, I only came a couple of times, but we just kind of kept in touch over the years. And then when I moved up here, I kind of knew he was gonna, like, he was one of the first guys to help me get on a show.
Right.
He got me a set of the comic strip, and
well,
we've just kept in touch, and I understand the way he is, and he doesn't bug me.
You have to.
I mean, he does. I should say he does bug me, but not enough that I'm like, there's just so many comics that don't like him. Like there's Ray helps Kevin book his podcast, book the guests. And there's a lot of comedians that Ray talks to, and they're like, no, not a fucking chance.
That's
like,
crazy to me.
I'm not doing Kevin's podcast.
It's got to be it's a fun show. Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't, because you get on that show and it's just, an hour and a half.
Well, because a lot of guys know Kevin, comics.
Oh, yeah. And they probably couldn't take it. The heat.
They know him as,
controversy.
He'll say anything and,
naming names.
Talk shit about people. And it's like, we're in a business that you only get to work someplace because, the person in charge of it lets you.
Right.
So if you're going to talk shit about somebody, well, you better be ready to maybe not work at their club or something. I mean, Kevin's, he's been banned. He got banned from the Comedy Cellar one time.
I know. I remember that. It's so funny. I've been listening to the show for a long time. So, you know what? I mean,
wait, what are you eating?
I'm eating a pepperoni right now with the habanero sauce in between.
I'm looking at that. I was like, that looks like a giant piece of pepperoni.
Yeah. I got two. I got the daily deal because,
Where's that from? H-E-B?
No, we have a local grocery store chain here called Brooks's, and
oh, okay,
really good stuff. Got the super one. That's good pepperoni, man. You like pepperoni?
Did you get sauce on your mask?
Yeah, I did, but I'll throw it in the wash.
That's like a pepperoni you get on the. It looks like like a big salami slice.
Well, yeah, if you go to the deli and you get pepperoni sliced, I mean, it comes out big like that. You can only get the skinny ones in the roll. I think. I don't know. We don't have an actual meat market here, so it's kind of hard to find real shit. Pain in the ass. But
what town are you in?
Tyler.
Oh, okay.
Up in the East Texas. But I have family in Houston, too. That's why I was curious and kind of excited to have you on the show. A lot of the fans, too, man. You were like the number one request. Besides, I don't know who had more. I think you had more than Barry Ribs. People in the inbox, man, get Bob on. I was like, all right, I will. I'll get to it. I promise. Let's get done with this controversy first, and then we'll have Bob on, see if he'd like to say anything himself.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I mean, I see the stuff on Twitter and stuff, but I don't really listen to most podcasts. I listen because of the guests. These guys post like, if somebody posts something interesting about Kevin's, or hey, look what Brian's doing, I'll be like, all right, I'll check that out.
Right. I mean, we got, at my day job, I have time, so I just throw the headphones in and I'll catch up, but not near as much as I used to. Like, I think when I first got sober, that's all I did was listen to podcasts like all day at work, But now as time's gone on, like I don't really have to have like that escape as much.
Now you're actually working.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had the headphones in, so I do like, a little bit of work, but yeah, that's right. I'm actually doing work now.
Oh, okay.
But what are you going to do? But same way.
Sewing ski masks.
Yeah. I put embroideries on ski masks. I'll ship you one, man. And, I didn't know this. You can actually get bulk ski mask on Alibaba. Like you can get like 40,000 of these things for like $3,000.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I was like, man, I really want to order it, but I wouldn't even be able to get in my apartment, It'd be a little
why the fuck would Alibaba need a ski mask?
Well, I don't know. You can get 40,000 pink ones at best too. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Yeah. It's just I think it's a bulk dealer website, if I'm not
Sure.
mistaken. That's what they do. But I decided against that. Maybe I should invest in a better laptop first or something along the line. So basically, as far as Houston goes, is Secret Group like the only good club left for comics like the podcast guys, Kevin, I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
mean, obviously, the improv gets
Do they,
guys every once in a while.
yeah,
Like
but
sometimes,
are they really getting guys? I mean,
well, I mean, I'm saying like sometimes Stanhope will come and do it. I
yeah, but
mean,
yeah.
the
I don't
guys
know.
that, yeah. I mean, right. For the most part, they're not going to play at the improv, and if they
Okay.
did, and also like Stanhope coming, he would come in and do like one night and do like
Right.
2 shows.
Yeah.
So it would be like, a Tuesday or a Wednesday or something. But yeah, well, I mean, obviously the improv's a legit club, but yeah, different as far as, yeah, all the guys that you're thinking of would definitely play at unless they're
Right.
playing a theater, the Secret Group would be the place because that's where they're doing
Skankfest.
the Skankfest
Yeah.
South.
Yeah, that's exciting, man. I wish I had the show before they announced it, and I could have submitted for it, but I think it's too late now. I don't know. Are you doing that?
Well, I mean, no, I'm not. I mean, as of right now, but I'm guessing since they changed it, I mean, I would honestly be shocked if 100% of the same people that were booked on it
Right.
before are going to be there.
Yeah,
Just
because there was a few comics that I'm fans of that weren't going to be able to make the first one because they were booked on something else. So maybe now they can make this one, some won't. Maybe they'll do another submission thing. I'll submit part of the podcast. Maybe.
I mean, send them, send them an email anyway. It doesn't hurt to ask.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I'll send them one. But
I mean, when are they planning on doing it? September?
I think it's September, but I don't think there's anything set in stone because I know on Twitter people are still asking for tickets back or some shit.
Yeah.
You never know. I mean, the Texas is going to be cleaned up by that time anyway. I mean, hell, we just opened the fucking bars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're in full rage mode down here.
The Secret Group is that is really a great place because there's just it was opened up as a comedy music venue. The guys that own it and run it are all local comics.
Yeah.
And one of the guys' dads put in a lot of money, and then some other guys put in some. And when they first opened it up, I mean, it's still this way. It's a comedy music venue. I mean, there's literally comedy every night because they have they have a front room with the main bar. Then there's a big room that holds I think it holds like 250 it's basically like a rock club, they can put in chairs,
right.
But there's no tables in there.
Kind of like the House of Blues probably, right?
Yeah. And then there's a small room in the back that does shows every night that it's like a New York City room. I think it holds like 75 people.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. I got to go down there, man.
And there's a bar in there. So in that room, they pretty much do shows every night. The big room, sometimes they'll like put up a curtain.
Yeah.
And because the little room is separate from the other two in that you could have like something at the main bar is always open, but you might not have the middle room open, which is the big room. So you can't have people walking through there.
Yeah.
So sometimes, but there's always shows in the small room pretty much. I think they're open every night except Monday now.
Yeah, I think that's true. Except Monday because I think
Tuesday. But yeah, it's a great place to see shows and all those guys. I mean, Luis Gomez has done shows there.
Yeah.
They've had, Tom Barry, Tom Rhodes. I tried to get Attell to go there, but it's just not big enough. They would have had to make tickets too expensive.
Now, did you and Lewis get was that real Twitter beef a few months ago that you guys had, or was he just were y'all clowning around?
I don't. What was it? What was it about?
I think you were recommending something, and then he blasted you. I don't know if I was reading it correctly. I don't know.
No, I mean I've met him a couple times, and he's been nice, but I just haven't seen him. I think I met him once outside Stand Up New York.
Yeah.
With a buddy of mine, Jason Cantor, and he was cool. And I think I saw him once at Creek and Cave because that's where they used to do the Legion of Skanks podcast before they moved.
Sorry, it's Louis J. Gomez, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Shit. Ooh.
No, I mean, I don't have any problem with them. If there's stuff on Twitter. Plus, again, a lot
I just
of
saw
stuff
an
on
exchange.
Twitter.
I didn't know. Like you said, I probably read it wrong. I was probably half asleep. I just remember you guys going back and forth about something. I don't remember exactly
I
what
mean,
the fuck it
it could
was.
have been a difference of opinion, but
Mhm.
I know I don't ever remember being like, oh shit, Lewis is mad at me
Right. Yeah.
or
Uh,
something. So,
let's see. Do you think that
I
Brian
mean,
McCarthy?
he's a different guy. There's no doubt about that. But man,
Yeah,
he's
got a
got his
hell of a
own little
fan
empire
base.
going.
You ain't lying. He really does, man. Those
I mean, yeah,
just scrolling through
it's
the Reddit
impressive.
feed, some of those his fans are pretty ruthless too. I
Oh,
mean,
well,
yeah.
yeah, he's definitely got the ruthless fans.
Yeah, I'd be scared to take one of those calls live from one
If
of those
somebody's
fans.
against.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Probably a lot of N-bombs on that one. Be like,
Yeah.
I can't
Not
cut
even
it
that,
out.
just people being relentless. I mean, I know they attacked somebody, some girl I know that they were like making fun of, and then just she had to like shut down her Twitter.
Yeah. I mean,
And it's like that kind of stuff gets ridiculous, but
oh, I know which one you're
whatever.
talking about. Yeah. And they went after, I think there was some ad campaign too, and same thing happened. I mean, there was so much, like, because those, like you said, they're relentless. They'll just keep tweeting.
No, and they got a lot. It's one thing if one or two people do it, but he's got a lot of
Yeah,
fans. I mean,
yeah.
it's impressive, and it's not necessarily even his fault, because even if you can't control what your fans are doing. Even when they say stop doing this, and people are like, no, fuck you.
Yeah. And most of the time they will, but those fans, no, they're gonna double down. So
There's
a lot of times when you see that action, you just got to keep quiet about it. Otherwise, they'll just keep doing it because they know it's gaining attention.
Well, and they're probably they're buying tickets to see his shows and
Yeah, absolutely.
supporting him. So
Right. But I don't know.
we all wish we had those kind of numbers.
Yes, we know, Bob. I want
Believe
those
me.
numbers. Believe me, I want.
I get free hot sauce. One of
The
these
hot
days,
sauce is good too. I'm actually very impressed with the hot sauce.
Yeah. Oh, it's free, great hot sauce.
Yeah.
But hopefully one day somebody will give me money to.
Yeah, or you just have like enough listeners
to
where people are
advertise
just
their
like,
podcast.
yeah, they're like, please, man, please talk about Blue Chew. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Shit. I tried that stuff. It didn't do anything. But I'm a young buck. I was just dicking around.
I don't even know what that is.
It's some
honestly.
it's supposed to be a chewable form of Viagra, but
okay. Oh, somebody made a joke like that to me one time, and then I looked it up, and I was like, no, I don't need that.
Yeah. Well, I had some sent from a podcast a while ago, and I just took like all of them and just sat in my apartment waiting for something to happen, and nothing happened. And then the doctor lady was like, no, you got to be like in the moment. And I'm like, oh, I thought it'd be hilarious if I took a bunch of them, put on track pants and went to the comedy club, but does
Viagra like just give you a boner?
I don't know. I've never tried that. I don't know if it.
I've never tried any of that stuff.
I mean, that's what you would think, right? Is you would take it and then you're just sitting around like, oh shit, here it comes,
I think Viagra like gives you a boner because I mean, obviously it gives you a boner, but
yeah,
I don't think you have to be like in the mood, because that was how it was invented, as like a heart medicine.
Right. And then people just started getting boners.
Yeah, I'm assuming they weren't being turned on when they got their heart medicine.
I now need to try one to see what it does.
I'm a fucking nerd. I don't do it. I mean, not like people take recreational Viagra, but I know people take Blue Chew stuff, and I don't do any drugs or anything. I just like to drink.
Yeah. I used to do all that stuff. I quit drinking 10 months ago, I think. Yeah, 10.
But I like drinking, but I don't.
I loved it. I loved it.
I just was never into drugs.
I wanted to drink so damn bad this weekend. Nothing was going my way. I was like, everything was tested. And I was like, fuck, man, I want it. But I know it like this show wouldn't be a thing. I'd blow it. It'd just be a nightmare. You know what I mean? Some people can, some people can't. It's whatever.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I just like to drink beer. I drink liquor every once in a while, but only like, if it's like a rum and Coke, or I don't drink like straight liquor.
Right.
I'm not. My roommate's got like liquor and tequila and stuff, and not like he's doing shots, but he's like, sipping tequila and stuff. And I'm like, why, what do you mean? Why are you sipping tequila? If I'm going to have tequila, I'm not going to like it, but I'm going to do a shot.
I think,
or else it's in a margarita.
Yeah, and it's got to be mixed well, on the rocks, no salt. Now, a year ago, I didn't have any furniture in my apartment, and I was sleeping on my kitchen floor because I would wake up from the alcohol sweats, but on the tile, so it'd be nice and cold. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And then
jeez.
I would continue to drink, throughout the day, and that went on for like 4 or 5 years at least. I mean, I worked on
Oh,
shifts,
wow.
so like I would get like some breaks, but there towards the end, it was just I had enough, man. I was just like, I can't, like I'm gonna die, which was kind of the point at the time. I didn't realize that till you get sober, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's pretty heavy. I think I'm gonna do like something about it in 2 more months. I don't know, but fuck it. Launch
Well,
this
that's
show.
good.
Yeah,
Glad
but
you
I'm
got
telling you,
yourself
things are really testing the waters lately.
back to normal, if you will.
Normal. I'm wearing a ski mask, man.
I
Doing my
said quote.
show.
Yeah, I
I
said
know,
quote
I
unquote
seen the
normal.
quotes. So do you think that we got to get into it a little bit? I'm going to do the official rundown show. I think Kevin has some interest in it. But let's get your opinion real quick. Do you think that Brian McCarthy wrote the Dos Equis ad? Yes or no?
Well, I mean, from what I know of Brian McCarthy, I don't see how that's possible.
Okay. All
I
right.
mean, was he an advertising executive?
No, not at all. So that was his
I mean,
big hook.
that's a
That,
huge. I don't know who owns Dos. I don't know what beer company owns Dos Equis.
well, Brian claims that Bacardi owns Dos Equis. So that he claimed,
Okay,
because I had him on
right.
my show and he got down to
That
the
could be the
bottom.
case.
Yeah, he got down to the
I mean,
bottom of everything and basically just, I let him talk and the fans went crazy. They're digging up a bunch of stuff. So now I got this huge report I got to get through for later episode in the week. It's going to be great.
well, the funniest thing I saw, somebody had posted when that was being talked about. They were like, best case scenario, he worked for a party planner that did something with Dos Equis, and he said a funny line that somebody heard, and they used it in the campaign. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's just funny. That I go, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Right. Like he would remember somebody, like he would remember saying that, from, he was a drinker
He worked
too.
for a party. He worked for a party planner.
Yeah. What the fuck? So, all right.
I mean,
Yeah. So we got definitive evidence.
he's not a comedian.
Yeah. No.
You know, I mean, he's not a stand-up comedian that anybody knows.
Right.
He certainly wasn't, somebody. I don't know exactly when that shit started, but no, I mean, that's, it's a huge company with advertising executives.
It would be easy to find.
Is it possible that they hired a comedian to do that stuff? Of course it is, but it wasn't him.
Right. The original one that stuck too for that many years. You'd think he'd have a little bit more royalties, right? I mean, that was a big fucking thing. I remember down here in Texas, they had the cutout.
I don't know. He's got, I mean, obviously he lives in a nice, I mean, doesn't he live in a nice house? I mean, he's got,
it's in Park
he has
Slope,
some money.
but he also did porn on
where
PTV.
it came from, nobody necessarily knows.
Right. Because I mean, he's done so many things, the wet wrestling, the soft porn industry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, regardless, even if it came from his parents giving him money, whatever.
You heard it here.
He's got some money. He's got he's got a house. So I don't blame him for, I don't know why everybody
attacks.
Let him say whatever he wants. I mean,
but it's just the fact that when he came on my show, it was supposed to be a tell it all. This is what went down between him and Kevin. The first place he was talking about it.
Right.
So when I knew that the fans wanted to know about that, so when I asked, he stuck to his guns. And of course, the fans dug up some new information that I just received today that will be released later in the week. Dominic, thank you. Dominic on Twitter. You probably have him follow you. Good dude.
Yes. Sounds familiar.
Guy. Some of those Twitter fans are real. They can dig up some stuff. And they just send it my way.
Believe me. Somebody will post a picture and I'm like, God damn, you fucking dug. I mean, I remember the picture, but I'm like, you fucking dug deep for that one.
I know. People are soon going to be posting me without my mask, and I'm going to have to report it.
Of course. Yeah, get ready for that.
No, I mean, I already know it. People already know the name. Chad gave it out. And people knew anyways from doing the MLC appearance because my little brother was on there with me, and he didn't crop out the last name whenever he was signing up for Zoom. So of course Kevin read it out loud. And I was like, fuck. Thanks.
When you talk about Brian, it was funny because whenever I did the podcast, they never, because I would usually get there before either of them. I don't know if I was coming from further away, but I just always, I think there was one time I was late, but and then one time I left with like 5 minutes to go because I had to take a shit. I don't
Yeah,
know
of
if you,
course.
I
Well,
don't know
was
if you
that
remember.
I don't know if that was the time whenever you were in the bathroom for a long time or in the
Nah,
middle
I
of the
mean, it was in
show?
the studio and there was probably about
Yeah.
10 minutes to go. And I was like, because I had
Way to
eaten at a
go, man.
diner
Yeah.
right,
Ugh.
right before, I had a chili cheese omelet and coffee.
I mean, of
And
course you're gonna have to go, you know?
exactly. I didn't time it correctly, but whenever I was there, even when they'd yell at each other and stuff, but it was just funny how, they seemed to get along. It's not like they
Yeah.
were best friends, but they were always, I never saw them, even when, Kevin can get mean,
Right,
and
right.
it was still just like, they'd say bye to each other. They'd say hi when they show. I mean, obviously
Right.
you can't do something like that really hate, if you really hate the guy. I mean,
No,
not
no.
that.
And
I
I
mean,
mean, I don't
it's one thing to be like, I don't know if like, you ever heard of Mike and Mike? Those
yeah, of course. Yeah.
two New York
Whenever
sports guys.
those guys had a falling out.
Yeah. But you know what? I could hate your guts, but I could sit there next to you and do a show if I was getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right. Yeah, yeah,
I would
exactly.
have no problem. So the fact that Kevin and Brian, it's like, even if somebody were like, oh, they hated each other. Well, if they really did, what was Brian getting out of doing the podcast?
Yeah. And it was just because Kevin asked him not to go on the show, and he thought he could anyways because other guests had done so. But, at the end of the day, he wasn't a guest. He was a sidekick. So, of course, Kevin's going to get a little bit more angry at the fact that you're his sidekick and he asked you not to go. It doesn't fucking matter if he has other guests that are going on that show. That's not his business, right? He's part of the email. He was part of the brand.
It does. Yeah. That definitely is a difference.
So, and
I
he
mean,
never, I don't think,
he asked him and Kevin said no, and he did it anyway.
he stuck to his guns. Exactly what he should have done. Otherwise, it would, would have been frowned upon there for a little bit.
I mean, as I've said before, anybody that knows Kevin, I mean, I like him, but he can be an asshole, and there's a reason he's had 4 different co-hosts on his podcast, and he doesn't have one now.
Yeah. Well, I think
he's the main. Not to say that the other people aren't at fault a little bit, but I mean, he had it with Lenny Marcus. Lenny Marcus, he's like one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny.
Whatever they broke up. Who cares? But Kevin likes to stir shit.
He loves it. Yeah, I know he's reading all the tweets, man. He really does. He gets down in it.
Those people that listen to him, they like to hear it. So I mean, Kevin's not a dummy.
No.
He knows what he's doing. And like I remember one time, because I'm known for interrupting people on podcasts. I mean,
it's beautiful. Yeah, he gets really
not
mad
necessarily
at
a good thing. Yeah, he does. And then I remember one time after doing his show, after the show, I was like, I go, hey, I'm sorry for interrupting you. I go, if it's really that bad, let me know. And he goes, as long as I can yell at you, that's fine.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. He goes,
that used to be my favorite parts of the show. That was my favorite part about Howard too. When I would listen to him as a kid was the fights. I'd go back on the YouTube and be like, best fights. And then, now when I try to tell my friends who Kevin is, I'm like, just check this out. I was like, who do you know that you listen to that would just open a can of worms like this? Like, holy shit. I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, that's right.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely something to be said for, saying what you want to say.
Yeah. It's beautiful. And it's a hard thing to come by.
He definitely does.
Yeah. But I know you guys are doing, doing GHOLE live. Is that right? Is it on the official page Thursday?
I don't know if it's on our official Instagram page. I know it's on I know Ray retweeted it on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's the same name at the GHOLE pod.
Yeah.
TheGHOLE.pod.
It's funny.
And I posted on mine. Yeah, just Thursday night. We're just trying something different.
Now, what exactly are you guys doing? Is it like regular comedy?
It's a stand-up show. We got
how is that, man? I think you're the first person I've had on who's Rib's done it, but it's kind of hard to.
Well, here's the thing. There's different ways to do these online shows. Like I did a show last Sunday, or like a week and a half ago, on Zoom, where people paid money. They bought a ticket. Like it was done through this thing called nowherecomedy.com.
Yeah.
Nowhere Comedy Club, and people would buy a ticket and then they would get a Zoom link. They were on the show, so you could see everybody on the screen and we could hear them laugh too. And they actually had like a bouncer, the Nowhere Comedy Club. they had somebody that's in there watching the show, and if people were making noise, they would, chat with them. Hey, say, hey, make your dog shut up.
Shit.
Or be quiet.
Sit down.
Or they would mute. Well, there's no sitting down. There's just, or they would mute them.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you could hear people laugh. So as different as doing stand-up, as different as it was from doing regular stand-up, it was actually quite similar in that you could hear them laugh. That was the main thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be a huge plus, because I know, I can see how that would
on Zoom, or you can do that. We're just doing this one on Instagram Live, which is just going to be like on our phone, where I'll host the show. I'll be on the screen, and then whenever the other comics come in, they'll just be like on the bottom half of the screen. Yeah. So you'll see just, and they'll only hear me.
Right.
So people can chat. Like if you're watching it, you can say, I don't know what your name is on Instagram, but it'd be like Ski Mask Host, and then it'll say ha 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 because you typed in ha ha ha.
Yeah. So it's kind of like the YouTube Live, because it has.
I'm gonna have to be the audience.
Right.
So it is different, but also it's the easiest thing to put together. Like the Zoom thing isn't hard, but the problem with the Zoom thing is then everybody has to have the link, and it's just a little different. I just wanted to try something like this, and then we'll figure out. We wanted to try to do a comedy show once every week or every couple of weeks. And we got Matthew Broussard's going to do a set. He's been on Comedy Central, all the late night shows. Nick Griffin.
Big name.
He's a great guy from the Comedy Cellar. I think he's done Letterman. Yeah. He did Letterman 10 times. Michael Harrison, funny guy. I mean, he lives here now, but he's from Canada. My buddy Jaffer Khan, Houston guy, very funny. Everybody be doing 5 to 10 minutes. Show will probably be maybe around an hour. I mean, if everybody does 5 minutes, the show will probably be about 35 minutes. But
right.
Just something to do. See if people get on there. Try to get some people to follow us more on our Instagram page for the podcast.
Follow the GHOLE podcast on Instagram. I don't even know if I follow it on Instagram.
At the GHOLE pod.
At GHOLE pod, people. Get there.
The GHOLE pod.
The GHOLE pod. Hey, I have a fan question here if you would like to answer it. Let's see.
Oh,
here.
Sure. Are people watching this live?
No. I told a guy, I sent out a tweet to a few of the people earlier saying that I would have you on. Okay. Let's see here. All right. This guy wants to know, and I'm just asking a fan question. All right. That you were on season 6. So far. You were on season 6, episode 2 of Last Comic Standing. You didn't make it past the audition phase. So why do you claim on your resume that you're a Last Comic Standing comedian?
The next year I made it to Vegas in the semifinals.
There you go. Made it to Vegas semifinals. I mean,
I didn't, I don't put out fake shit that I've done. Cause once you've actually,
he told me to investigate. So I had to investigate. Yeah.
Well, no, that's the first year. If he's talking about when I auditioned in San Antonio, that was the first year. That was the year Josh Blue won it. And I had auditioned in San Antonio. That was the first year. For people that don't know about Last Comic Standing, is you had to wait in line to audition, but they would always have people that had set time auditions, like that the club had. Well, I had never gotten that until that year, where a guy from the Dallas Improv, Addison Improv, called me up and said, hey, they called us for Last Comic Standing. They wanted names of people that we should have them see. And I was one of them. So I finally got an audition, did the show that night, had a great set. They didn't pick me to move on. Fine. The next year, because they knew me, they called me up.
Easier.
Then they called me up and said, hey, the actual show called me up and said, we want you to audition.
Right.
And I won the thing in Houston. Thus, I got to go to Vegas for the semifinals. I mean, that's all I tell people I was on Last Comic Standing. But if I ever put I'll say semifinalist on Last Comic Standing. It's funny because today I'm doing a show in Pennsylvania in June, and the guy who set it up, he posted on Facebook and he said, come see our headliner Bob Biggerstaff. He's been on Last Comic Standing. He had a half hour on Comedy Central, and he was on this week at the Cellar from the Comedy Cellar. And I was like, that's just what he put on Facebook. And I was like, okay, I go, I didn't have a half hour. I just did live at Gotham.
Right,
On
right.
Comedy
So you
Central.
kind of corrected him, even though it was like a bigger plug, kind
Yeah,
of.
I
Or?
go, I auditioned. I go, I've done 2 sets for Live at the Cellar, that show on Comedy Central. I go, but they didn't pick,
Yeah.
they like 60 guys do sets and they pick like 5 or 6 to show their material.
Right.
I go, so they didn't pick me. Well, just because as a comedian, when you're first starting out, the classic intro for a comic is he plays clubs and colleges.
Yeah.
Which that's the intro at a comedy club that the MC gives you when you haven't done anything.
Just to be nice a little bit, right?
You don't even have I mean, that's like you don't even, which is almost impossible nowadays, because even just to say he hosts his own podcast.
Yeah, everybody's got a podcast.
So you say, so then when you actually, and then sometimes people will lie and they'll be like, oh, you've seen this guy on the Tonight Show. And then when you actually get credits, and they'll say that, but then they'll also add something. I'd always tell the MC, I'd be like, I go, man, just say just say Comedy Central and Last Comic Standing.
Right.
Because the thing on Facebook too, like other comedians, like I see stuff from comedians and I'm like, that guy didn't fucking do that.
Yeah.
He's trying to get people to come to his show. He's never fucking been on Comedy Central. Like there's a thing that really bugs me, and this is just goes along with more along the lines of me being kind of a bitch. The show I did on Comedy Central was called Live at Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
And it was recorded at Gotham Comedy Club. It's called Comedy Central Live at Gotham. Well, I don't know if you know that the channel used to be called HD Net. Now it's like, have you seen a lot of guys have this, it's Gotham Comedy Live.
Is that on Access TV?
Access, that's,
yeah.
Well, a lot of guys will say that they were on Live at Gotham. They'll call it Live at Gotham when they did Gotham Comedy Live on Access TV.
Oh, so it would be a hard way for the fans to distinguish unless they really knew what they were talking about.
The thing is, it's done on purpose.
Right.
Guys will say this because they're like, nobody gives a shit that you did something on Access TV. Nobody gives a shit that you did that you did a show like that on Comedy Central, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I'm glad I did because it was Comedy Central, but nobody cares about it, especially now.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had a half hour, it'd be a much bigger deal. But doing that, doing Premium Blend, which is the one before, none of that means anything now. But like I remember, I used to host a lot of shows in Houston at the Improv because, just because I needed the money, or
that's awesome. I mean, I've
wanted to do it.
Yeah, I've never even been able to find an open mic that would take me in Houston. But then again, I wasn't really heavy,
So I would host shows, and I remember this one time this guy was like, yeah, say I did Live at Gotham, and I knew he had done Gotham Comedy Live.
Yeah.
So I introduced him as whatever it was, and I was like, you also seen him on Gotham Comedy Live on Access TV? And he was, and then came up to the set after the show. He was like, hey man, he's like, could you just bring me up as saying I did Live at Gotham? And I was like, yeah, but you didn't.
Nice.
I'm like, I get that it's like, well, I don't know. Like I said, I'm kind of a bitch, but, and believe me, almost any comic that like would hear this story would be like, who gives a shit? It doesn't even matter. I know it doesn't, but there's a difference. If somebody says, sometimes fans will come up to you after your show, and if fans say this to me, I don't care. But other comedians know. Like one time, I almost got in an argument one time because this guy was like, "Oh man, I remember seeing you on the Tonight Show," and I was like, "I never did the Tonight Show." He's like, "No, man, I remember," and I'm like, "Yeah, it was probably just some other fat white guy with glasses." And they're like, "No, man, like you were like the guy was animate that I was on." And then finally, I was like, "Oh yeah," I literally go, "Oh yeah, man, I've done so much TV, I forgot I did the Tonight Show."
Yeah.
And then it was all cool. And then there was another comedian standing there, and he's like, "You've never been on the Tonight Show." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but you saw how that guy was." I go, "What was I going to say?" I go, I'm not going to tell another comedian I've done it, because they fucking know.
Yeah. I mean, of course they would know.
And they'll find it out. This guy's not going to go home and Google if I did. He already thinks I did it.
Yeah.
So comedians can lie to regular people all the time, but you can't lie to comedians about that
because
stuff.
you guys work close.
Yeah, well, and which goes along, and also, like I said, if you didn't do something, you can, that can get you in trouble for lying about doing something, because then somebody's going to be like, I'm not going to, I'm not going to have this guy on the. I know a comedian that said he did some show, and then like they were doing like a showcase for the show in his town, and the guy that was in charge of the showcase, who's like was the booker for whatever show this was, knew that this guy had already said that he'd done it, and he was like, well, now he's never going to do it.
Right, right.
So I mean, but that kind of stuff goes along with, you know, Brian McCarthy saying he did that with the Dos Equis.
Well, the fans dug it out,
especially now with the internet. Are you kidding me? You're going to find that out. How is that not on his resume and not I mean, maybe it is on his resume, but you know,
I don't even know what kind of resume he would have.
Hooked up to some link.
Yeah.
That shows you.
Hold on a second.
I mean, you know, people can find out all this shit.
Hold on. I gotta call in a to-go order. Well, I gotta make sure real quick. Let me make sure this thing works.
That's all right.
Sorry, man. I'm running time here.
I think people expect a to-go food order when I'm on.
Right. I just gotta make sure they still have it. Let's see. Yeah. Do you guys serve the chocolate chip pancakes all day?
Yes, sir. Yes, we do.
Okay. Could I call in an order at 7:45?
Yes, sir. Yes, you can.
Okay. So, like, could I say it now and it'll be ready at 7:45?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I feel like this is a trick.
Bob Biggerstaff.
What can I get for you?
Let me get the chocolate chip pancakes, no whipped cream.
Would you like the powdered sugar?
That's how I like it.
Yes, the powdered sugar.
Yeah. All right. And would you like a half order or a full order?
Full order, please.
Come on.
Anything else?
That'll be it, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Just the chocolate chip pancakes with no whipped cream, just the powdered sugar?
Yes.
All right. So it's going to be 8:32 and be done in about probably like 15 minutes, sir.
Okay. Could you make it for 7:45?
Yeah, I got you. So you want to I'll tell them to make it a little bit later.
Right.
They'll probably be done. Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right. Thanks.
All right, you're welcome.
So I can pick it up at 7:45.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just had to make sure they sold them all day.
Where was that?
Oh, it's a local diner here. Got some pretty good pancakes. Yeah. Do you like the chocolate chip?
I got to tell you. Well, yeah. I mean, as far as I just like pancakes with butter and syrup.
Right. Yeah.
I don't like whipped cream on. I go to Dunkin' Donuts a lot, and if I get some sort, I just don't like whipped cream on anything really, because every place puts too much, or if you get like one of those stupid coffees that has whipped cream on it, they shove it inside the lid.
Yeah, it's a mess.
So you don't, but then they jip you on the actual drink.
Right. Well, I learned to hate whipped cream when I would get it on ice cream, and then it would kind of taste like vanilla. But then you're like, well, I have the fucking ice cream because I want it to be cold, and the whipped cream's like kind of warm, so it just ruins the excitement, you know. So I don't know. Yeah.
If I'm like at a restaurant and got like a sundae or a banana split, I would have whipped cream on it. But if I was like went to the drive-thru at Dairy Queen, I would probably say no whipped cream on, unless I was just or like at Sonic, if I was gonna eat it there in my car, I'd get it all the way. But if I was like gonna take it home or something, this is the stuff people want to hear Bobby Biggs talk about.
Right. Bobby Biggs, he's here.
There's the things I miss from Texas is like not so much Dairy Queen because I think there was only like one or two in Houston, but like Sonic.
There's a few here. See, I'm over Sonic, man. It's not as good as it was. And I quit carrying a fucking watermelon slush. It was the only reason I went.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't go there all the time.
I'm trying to think what else is local here.
I'm still on their text list.
You got to get the Whataburger, man.
From Sonic. Oh yeah. Well, you know what? When I go back to Houston, I'll definitely have Whataburger. I'm actually going to go back around July 4th.
Oh, cool. Let me know if you're here, man. We can maybe put together a live show. Both my parents live in Houston.
Yeah.
I got one on the north side.
My girlfriend is going to buy me a ticket to come down. She really wants me to. I mean, I want to come too, but
it'd be fun. It'd be fun.
Oh, definitely. So, but every comic I know, whether they're comic or not, people that move away from Texas, they're always like, I'm coming back and first place, I'm getting in that Uber and we're going to Whataburger.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I like Whataburger, but coming to Houston, the first place I want to get food, the first food I want is Tex-Mex.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the one thing.
Dude,
and forget Mexican food. Mexican food is not
Yeah.
Mexican food is not Tex-Mex. I mean,
Right.
they're different things. And you could say Mexican food. Well, somebody could say, well, Mexican food's better than Tex-Mex. Okay.
They're two different. They're completely different cuisines. Completely
Exactly.
different.
So like, well, like coming up here, unless you go to, honestly, like you can't get queso anywhere
Yeah.
in New York City. I mean, the best place to get queso is like
That's fucked up.
Pizzeria Uno or Chili's.
And that's not even
Applebee's.
real queso.
Right, but that's the only place. Well, believe me, what you get at a Mexican restaurant, they don't even have queso. Like I've been to places, oh, they've got tacos and burritos. This is a Mexican restaurant.
Yeah, I bet they don't even do the sweet tea, huh?
They don't do what? No, they certainly don't do that. But they don't. No place does. I found one bar called Javelina where the guy supposedly like from, I think he's from Dallas, so they have like, they have Shiner beer, and they had queso. And it was pretty good, but like you can't get, like I want like a burrito covered in fucking chili con queso.
Why would you not?
Enchiladas, all that.
Yes.
I mean, that's what
Tamales.
I miss.
Fuck.
I've had Mexican food here, and I had a burrito out of a truck one time that was actually pretty good. But also, I don't. Unless I'm at Chipotle, and even there I get a burrito bowl. I don't like eating a burrito like this with my hand because I want it on a plate covered in fucking queso.
Yeah. Plus, you're just gonna make a mess. It looks weird, the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, you're not eating you're not eating a burrito by hand that's covered in queso.
Yeah. What?
So I miss, that's kind of stuff I miss from.
Last thing here.
Texas. Sure, man.
What's better, the Buc-ee's or a Wawa? I haven't been to Wawa.
I think I've only been to one Wawa.
Really?
And I'm trying to think if I even.
They say it's just like a Buc-ee's, but down here. But I
no.
Yeah.
It's not the same. Only, I mean, obviously the Buc-ee's most of them are huge and they're
massive.
A Wawa is just they supposedly have like better food than most gas stations.
Yeah.
Which probably isn't hard. But it's not as big. I mean, nothing's as big as Buc-ee's. I mean,
right.
I don't think there's a Wawa truck stop.
Okay, I got you. Okay, so that puts it in perspective.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I have been, but from what I've heard, they because even did we talk earlier about? Or no, I was talking to somebody earlier today. Like, I've only been to. I'm going to Philadelphia, or I'm going to Pennsylvania to do a show in June, and I've been to Pennsylvania. Probably a few times driving through it, but I've only done a show there. I did one in Philly when I first moved here, and when I first moved to New York City, and I was living with a couple in another part of Astoria, and the guy was from Philadelphia, and he was like, "Yeah, when you go, he's like, you got to go to." I was asking him about like Philly cheesesteaks and sandwiches, and he's like, not necessarily for a Philly cheesesteak, but he was like, you got to go by Wawa. They've got these great. I guess they make like great sub sandwiches. I didn't go because I was on I took the fucking bus to Philly, and there wasn't one around where I was staying or anything. But I've heard the food's supposed to be good.
I'll have to try it when I come up. I'll have to try it.
I honestly, Buc-ee's with the beef jerky and all
the burritos.
There's nowhere near Wawas aren't as big. They can't have all the selection.
Well,
yeah,
Bob,
Buc-ee's is incredible.
I appreciate you coming on the show, man. I think you've been following it a good bit. The fans love you. That's good. Stay on the good terms with those fans.
I appreciate it. Oh, yeah.
Stay on good terms with those guys.
They'll
have your back.
It's all in good fun. Yeah, I hope, like I said, I hope you guys watch our show Thursday night.
That's the GHOLE Pod on Instagram.
At the GHOLE Pod. We'll post. I mean, we're going to post it on Twitter.
I'll retweet that.
It'll be live. It'll be live on Instagram.
Cool.
But we'll post it all on Twitter and stuff.
All right.
And Instagram. So. And
I'll cut a few of the clips from this show and put them out if you want to get that traction going. We'll promote GHOLE.
If anybody's
a lot of good guests on that show. A lot of good guests.
If anybody's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, that's where I'll be. I think it's the 26th.
26th of June?
Yeah, let me check.
That is a weekend.
Yeah, it's a Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, June 26th in Altoona, Pennsylvania.
You heard it here.
At some bar called maybe McGuire's. Hold on a second.
Irish.
I have it on my phone.
McGuire's.
McGarvey's.
McGarvey's. Oof. All right.
McGarvey's Polished Comedy. June 26th.
June 26th. That's in June 26th.
Yes.
Bob
If anybody's
Biggerstaff
in
from
Altoona,
the GHOLE
Pennsylvania.
Pod.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, man. I hope to have
Appreciate
you
you
back on
having
the
me.
show. We'll check in after the
Oh, yeah.
Brian McCarthy news.
We'll do it again.
It'll be a lot of fun. So,
Yeah, man.
All right, man. Bye.
Thanks, buddy.